May 1939. Deep in the mountains of Jamaica, a handful of rebels found a community. It's called the Pinnacle, the village of the first Rastas. Who are these people? At their head is a former seaman, Leonard Percival Howell. He's been traveling for 20 years. What he has brought back with him is not really a doctrine. It is a key to understanding the reality of his time, a guide for surviving in these times of turmoil. In this early part of the 20th century, the power of industry knows no limits. In its drive to conquer new markets, railroad tracks are laid, the Panama Canal is dug. Hungry for empire, Europe tears itself apart. Crises, wars, revolutions, the old order crumbles, sending hordes of refugees towards new worlds, and ships dump immigrants onto the doorsteps of the Ford factories and the sweatshops of New Jersey. At the heart of all this upheaval are the boats. Boats which transport the labor force, raw materials, and finished products. Boats that also transport ideas. Ever since steam replaced sail, anyone can become a sailor. The ports are swarming with people desperate to get away. Transformed into seamen, anarchists, Bolsheviks, survivors of pogroms and revolutions exchange insurgent ideas, and the boats become floating classrooms for new schools of thought. In Odessa, Kiel, in Hamburg, sailors lead the revolutions, becoming agents of globalization. From port to port, it is they who spread the wave of popular culture, football, Lenin, and rumba. Long before the internet, sailors spin the web of the global village. Leonard Howell is one of these seamen. He left Jamaica in 1915 when he was 17. He first went to Panama, where the canal had just been opened. Thousands of his countrymen lie here, buried under those rocks. In Costa Rica, he works for United Fruit, the archetype of all international companies. He observes this modern Babylon, which can buy governments, turn plantations into factories, and country folk into slave workers. In 1917, Howell joins the army. But rebellion is rising among the soldiers, and pacifist ideas grow on board the ships. In 1918, he disembarks in New York. He is 20 years old. Harlem is swinging with jazz. Black power is on the rise. What a thrilling experience. His fellow countryman Marcus Garvey, the apostle of black pride and African independence, walks down Fifth Avenue with 200,000 followers. But soon Howell will distance himself from his movement. He has grown close to George Padmore, who organizes black sailors for the Comintern. Between the politics of race and the politics of class, which one will he choose? Will he identify with the black Jews who wish to return to Ethiopia? Should he adopt the non-violence of Gandhi? In 1932, he lands back in Jamaica. A flamboyant person is at his side, Nancy Cunard, a rich heiress, communist, and Dada. He brings home with him a rich and profound vision. But how do you reconcile Marx and the Bible, Dada and Garvey, Gandhi and the black Jews? and how to create a promised land in colonial Jamaica in the 1930s. The pinnacle will be, for the next 18 years, the laboratory for Rasta thinking. It will be finally destroyed in 1958, and its inhabitants scattered over the world will carry the message. 50 years have passed, and Rasta way of life has become the first global cultural phenomenon with millions of adepts on every continent. So why has Leonard Howell been banished from the history books? It is urgent that before the last witnesses pass on, we tell the story of the seaman whose message and whose name Bob Marley borrowed, Leonard Gong Howell, the first Rasta.
They have no water.
And then when I investigated the fact, I found out that this Blackheart man was the Rasta man, the man of peace, the man of love and tranquility within his heart, the man that teaches good to his people, teach them to love each other.
I don't eat fish because I can't afford to take a life to save a life. Because the fish love him life just like how I love mine.
And the Rasta is a thing where I talk about the rightness of people to live. Yellow, pink, blue, all kind of people.
The man that was so humble. Sometimes I feel embarrassed to see how humble they was. He would smoke the herb of the earth. And he would smoke until his eyes become as red as a flaming fire. See? But even though his eyes would be so red, from his mouth cometh the words of wisdom that would be so uplifting.